Hello, everyone. It's Mark. I am a Sanderson collector, and I am here today with Jimmy Connor to talk about one of the most valuable resources for the Sanderson collector community, collectingsanderson.com.
Hello, everyone. I'm Jimmy Connor. I recently started collecting a Sanderson collector, so I've only been collecting for about 6 months now. I started collecting back in December, and that's when I stumbled upon the actual Discord, which is a great utility, a great reference point. If you've never been there before, lots and lots of collectors. They're great to help you out. But I started collecting back in December and ran across an actual issue where I'm storing all my data within a spreadsheet. I'm recording what I'm actually buying, what I'm actually trying to get, and it's really hard to keep track of. But Mark here had a great actual database and information, pretty much everything there is to know about every Sanderson book. So I started to try to utilize that to meld what I was doing with what he was doing. And that's where I came up with collectingsanderson.com. I started off building a website that was just this is my data or my library. I'm going to actually collect this and show what I'm showing. And then from there, me and Mark kind of expanded out to a bigger role that's useful for more people than, of course, just me. Within there, we have lots of different things. We have, of course, all the data from Mark's, and we're continuously expanding this database itself to include everything as we get more books. And more importantly, all the data that we're getting there is from the actual collections we have.
So just a little history of the database that you ran across back in December. I've been keeping my data all in a spreadsheet for years. I think I've actually got a video on it at some point that I did, how I organized my data into my collection. And then at some point last year, two other collectors, Luke and Austin, and I got together and put everything in an Airtable, which is essentially an online spreadsheet where we can put pictures and stuff. Although at some point we ran into an issue where we'd used up all the free space and we just kind of left it sitting there for a while. And it was around that time that Jimmy found us and jumped in and started developing the awesome website.
Yeah, so I looked at his data, slurped it all out, pulled that into my own structured database so I can manage it how I need it. And then from there, just started building out a structure around, what would be good for someone who's actually collecting and building out their library within there. And since then, that was back in December, January area. Since then, we expanded quite a bit, moving into, wish list stuff, doing eBay alerts, adding wikis, news articles. And we'll go ahead and give a couple of little demos of the actual website. So this is the collectingsanderson.com website. When you first log in, you're going to actually see what we call the group view of all the books. Because every book itself, when you talk about A Memory of Light has different versions of the book itself, whether it's the hardcovers, the paperbacks, the mass media papers, all the different foreign language versions of it. So we have them grouped together in the group icon, so you can basically figure out what you want, what book you want. Then from there, drill it down to the actual individual book. You'll see I actually own this one, so it's telling me that I actually own that. If I click on this, of course, we have all the actual great information from Mark's database, all the information about the ISBN. We're actually now adding in the actual size and weights of the books themselves. It'd be great because now Mark can actually determine how much weight is sitting there back behind them if that was to fall forward. All the images up top are actually physical images we took of the books. So if you click on one of these, you'll actually see this is a picture we took, who actually uploaded the cover image. That was me there. You'll see even other information. So a lot of this is personalized. So this is my numbered version here. So you'll see that in the image itself. You can see detailed images by clicking on them. We have lots of other items within here, so like our quick search. And that was one of the main things I wanted when I was building it, because I built a spreadsheet that had all the books I wanted that I was looking for, and then I had links within there to all the different major sites so I can click on them and quickly search that day, because you have to go in every single day and search and see if these are on sale. So by clicking on either one of these, it'll actually search for these books on the individual sites. So if I click on ISBN there, it's going to pull up that search for us very quickly. We also, based upon now that we have all sorts of different people adding their libraries to there, we have the ability to actually do estimated values of the books themselves based upon what other people had valued their book. Within here, we also have external resources, so like linking to the Compromise. We have a couple other we want to start adding within there. So library itself is kind of where this is coming. So this is the data itself, but then taking this data and saying, hey, I actually own this book. So if we click on another one I don't own, so let's say it'll be this one here. The ability to actually add this to our library is what's neat, because once I add that to my library, then it shows up here of all the different books I have. So I can see my prints, my editions, my numbers, whether it's signed or not, whether it's signed by others, the actual prices that I paid, what I value the books, what conditions they are, any extra notes. So you see all that data within here for your library itself, and all the way down at the bottom, it shows you totals of what your library itself is worth and what you've spent on it. Looking at any one of these, you're able to add extra data in here. So I was able to say that, it's signed by others. This is the other people that signed my book. I can add different data about whether it's on broad art, whether I bought it on release or not. This is important for the actual calculation of the price, so that people know that, hey, I bought this on release. So when I put $35 in there, it doesn't get added into the calculation of what the current value itself is, where I purchased it from. But again, all the different stuff that people are generally adding to their spreadsheets for their collecting, it's a nice little place in here to be able to add that. Once you have your library itself, you can then actually share this out. We do have the public library feature where you can see everybody else's libraries, their sizes. You can click on the actual shared links for those libraries and pull up. So for instance, this is Mark's library. You get a little bit less data than you do on your own personal library, so you're not showing cost or anything else. So you're not getting all the data out. But the other nice thing is what we have is our library shelves. So shelves is the actual image view of the libraries, to where I have my virtual shelf here that shows all this. And again, this is all pictures that we have taken itself. So anything that we haven't taken a picture yet for, which we're still continuously working on this database, you'll actually see fill-in ones, so auto-generated ones. So if you go and look at Mark's, there's a lot auto-generated.
Yep. And I am working on those slowly to go through and take pictures, because all those books on there I do have on the shelves behind me. It's a lot, so I'm working on it.
It's a long process. It took me a good couple of days just to go through and get good pictures and good side images of these. So, especially small ones like this. And we're working on some other things too. Now that we're getting the actual sizes of the books themselves, we can now resize these books and these images based upon that to make it look more like your shelf itself. I will say that my actual shelf itself is in this exact order, just because I like conformity. Well, the other thing we're gonna be doing also is the ability to add different shelves. So you'll have your library itself and be able to add them to different groupings, so they'll show up on different shelves. So I could make a shelf, say, with all my foreign editions, and then that's all you see on there, or all my shelves with all my hardcovers. So you'll be able to do some kind of grouping with that, and that basically will sort it a little bit more. But yeah, we could probably change stuff around and allow you to do alphabetical or natural sort order, or by, what we do now is by country, by type, and by actual format. That's why you see on my shelf, you see all the leather bounds first. It's because we sort by format first, then by country, then by such and such.
And I'm really looking forward to the shelf view, because I keep my books in a couple of separate sections. I have my main collection, and then I have a set of books that are set aside for trading and selling, and then I have my personal shelves over there that are my personalized reading copies, and being able to keep those separate will be really nice. Yeah.
Now, we're starting to add in features for sale books, so I can come in here and have books on my list. So, for instance, this one here is an extra copy I have. It's a 1/1 unsigned of a Memory of Light, and I'm putting that up for sale for just $35. So we have the ability to go in and mark stuff for sale in there. So if we go down, you'll see for sale, and then it just shows up on the for sale list within here. Now, you can add different notes for the for sale. So, for instance, you'll see some of these adding notes for this is coming from Europe, so it's going to cost a little more shipping. But this is kind of where we're expanding into to where you don't have to actually do these transactions on eBay itself anymore. You can actually get together and do the transactions. We're starting to do a messaging system. Right now, we kind of use the Discord today to talk back and forth, but we're going to be doing a messaging system within here so you can contact the people, set it all up. The next thing we have is actually our wish list itself. So these are books that I'm actually looking for. So you can get to these from the front page. If I go again to any book here, I can actually add it to my wish list. I can look for different information about this. So, I'm looking for first edition, first printing. It doesn't matter whether it's numbered or not. I don't care if it's signed or not. I want it to actually be very good or better. And then right here, alert for new eBay items. We are doing eBay scanning at this point. So we go into eBay itself every 15 minutes and check for new books that come online based upon the actual information from this. So if I actually save this here, that creates a new eBay alert, and we're going to check that every 15 minutes. We'll get emailed direct links to those options when we actually click on those at any time a new one itself comes up. So very handy. Now we're trying to expand this into a lot of the other different vendors out there. So again, you'll see we have a different ones we link to. So eBay here, but we're trying to work with Books and a couple of the other ones to be able to access their API and then be able to scan them the same way. eBay is really easy to access. Most of these other ones don't really have a real API to access. So like Amazon, you're not going to have an API. Mercari doesn't have an API, so you can't really access those to scan. And even those, like the Amazon, isn't individual book listings, so you can't really pull in that type of data from them. But Abe's is a really good resource, and we'd like to be able to access them and get those same type of alerts out of them.
And something that Jimmy just showed there is like he could add that book to his wish list as a first edition, first printing. One of the things that I like to be very, very meticulous about is printing information when I'm putting the books into the database. So if you're trying to identify what printing of a book you have or what state that is, like go to the Mistborn mass market paperback, for example. There are all the different versions of the paperback listed here. And if you go to like the US mass market paperback VIN, not that one, that one, you can see we have different states of the book based on the printings, and I've noted down which printings I own that fit those states and all the various differences. And there's a really nice compare link that shows like, hey, at one point the price changed, and I put in notes as to what's different about the books. This is, I think, one of the more valuable things about the database for me is being able to have this precise of info and someone say, hey, I've got a book that has this and this. Okay, that is this printing, this state of the book.
Yeah, it's actually helped me several times too when I'm looking on eBay and they're not really posting the copyright page, so you can't see what actual printing it is, but you see other little images in there that give some indication. So they'll show the back cover and you see that the actual price is $8.99. You know this is a later printing. I don't need to bother contacting that person and asking, what printing is. I know it's already not the one I want. So yeah, it's very, very handy in that aspect. This also answers kind of the question behind you. You get a lot. Why do you have so many leather bounds of Mistborn?
So the leather bounds of Mistborn that I have are first, second, third, and fourth printing, and there are differences between all of them. The page we're looking at is for the mass market paperbacks, but if we go back, we can look at the leather bounds as well. I've put all of that information in there. And there is a fifth printing that I do not have in hand yet, and Jimmy has a copy, and he's already put in all the specific information for that one. So if you have a leather bound of Mistborn, you can figure out exactly what it is and compare all the features to make sure, someone didn't scam you with editing the copyright page or whatever.
And we do take different images for every state. So every single state, so for instance, this one here on the first state, you're going to see that this is a numbered edition here. But yet, if you go down to my fifth state, you'll see the images on those are completely different. So you can actually see the differences directly on the images if you go and look at them, which is very, very handy. So with the wish list itself, we do also have the public wish list. so you can see what everybody else is looking for. So just in case, I have a couple of extra copies of stuff, I can come in here and search down and say, okay, I have an extra copy of Elantris leatherbound. Let's see what people are looking for. Okay, mine's a second edition first printing, so nobody's looking for that at this point. Otherwise, once we get the messaging system up and running, you could go in there and contact them. And we're also going to start doing some alerting in between the two. So if I put up a book for sale and then somebody has that on their wish list, hey, they'll get a message directly saying, hey, this person, this came up for sale. We are moving into having kind of, in the Discord group, we have lots of people with lots of knowledge, and we're starting to kind of collect that into one area and kind of record that. So we do have a wiki on the website itself. You can ignore the top part. That's just because I'm an admin on here. But within here, we're starting to add information about, how to get started with it, all the terminology you see, the good places to actually buy books, different tips and trips and stuff to watch out for, things like the, book plates. If it's it says signed by author, but it's actually signed by a book plate, that's not exactly the same thing to a collector. Or when you have the books for Wheel of Time to say signed by author, but it's actually just the auto pen of Robert Ford. So different things to actually look out for there, return policies. But we're trying to actually take all this knowledge, and instead of just having to go and ask the questions, an easy searchable place to where you can go in and figure this out for new collectors. Within here, continuously expanding this, so see more and more to come to the future here. We're also starting to move into kind of a blog and news on it, so we can start posting different information about what's to come in the future, different books that we're starting to see up. Come out. So we'll actually do news posts of when Brandon's new books hit. The thing we want to start adding in, of course, is actually email alerts when we actually post news articles, so you can actually see these when they come out too. Maybe even a newsletter or something. But within here, this is the first one. I just posted this last night when I was testing this out. So this is for the Jordan Con that's coming up that Mark is attending. So jealous of that. Yeah. I wasn't able to attend. But within here, an article just talking about, hey, there's going to be a lot of Sanderson related items inside the auction. Here are all the links to them. You can pull that up, click on them, go to it.
When we put data in for books, we can put in a release date for the book. And some of those books are not out yet. I will be trying to put in more specific data, like keeping up with all the upcoming books, so that you can see a calendar of, here's all the books coming up, and, here's what's coming up in the next month if you want to make sure you pre-order things.
Yes. Yeah, so any books coming up, we try to get that information in. We won't, of course, have all the information yet just because we don't have the book in hand. But, yeah, we try to add all that extra data in beforehand so we can have it into the database.
And something else you can do with that as a user of the site is you can add that to your library as, I have ordered this book, so that when you've placed the order, so that you don't end up with 5 extra copies I've done before.
Yep, exactly. And what's also nice is in here, so let's see if I have, so within here I can actually put information about whether the status of it, whether I actually own it, whether it's bought and not shipped, and if it's shipped, I can actually put in even tracking URLs in there. So if I save that one, I get direct links here on my library link for the actual tracking. So what I normally what I do when I scroll down, so if I'm waiting on books to come in, I just go to my library and I scroll down and look for the little tracking icon, and then I just click on that, and that's actually the link to the tracking saying that, hey, that was delivered. So very handy just to be able to scroll down really quickly and see that.
Yeah, I hadn't actually seen that feature. That's really nice.
Yeah, so I actually own that now, so let me save that. So yeah, very handy. One of the other features we have is the ability for our users to actually come and tell us that, hey, we're actually missing books, which is kind of handy. So we do have the ability to actually report missing books. So within here, you can report a book, add in its ISBN, add in a title, any notes about the book itself. And of course, then you'll see that we get an alert when those reports are added. So we get an alert, we're able to then go in and take that information and save that. Not only can you do that, by reporting missing books, you can also add in various images. So if you come into one of these books that we don't have images here, you can actually either report issue with information. So again, a link to users, not just the admins like me, to report information that's wrong, or even submit images. So I can go in here, click different images on here, basically submit them, and what will happen is it'll go as an admin alert, and then we can go in and take those images, edit them, review them, and then post them to the book itself. So very handy for
Right.
users themselves to help add to our database, so it's not just us. When you actually do
Right.
upload an image here, you are accredited with the images on the page. So any of these other ones where you see that it says I uploaded this, your name itself will actually be a credit there, cover uploaded by your username. So very handy on that exploit. We like to give credit where credit's due.
In terms of adding data like that, I have gotten in all of my English language editions that I own into the website. And so if you find any English language editions that are not there, please go ahead and report them. I will work on getting them in. I am pretty OCD about getting rid of notification numbers, so that little one up there will bug me and I will go work on it. The one that I left up there, I was looking at this morning and decided to leave just so that we could show it in the video.
Yeah.
I have not put in a lot of my translated editions yet. I am in the process of doing that. I have started at the beginning with my Bulgarian editions, and I'm just going to work through the alphabet of my translated editions. It's going to take a while because part of what I'm doing while I'm doing that is going to essentially the publisher or large booksellers for each language and looking at their website and saying, okay, here's the books I have. Here's the, oh, they actually translated Alloy of Law as well instead of just the original Mistborn trilogy. I'm going to add that one to the database with whatever information I can get from the publisher website, put that on my wish list, and make it as complete as possible for all those languages as well.
Yeah.
So that is kind of my current work in progress in parallel with getting pictures in to look nice for all of the English language editions.
Yeah, and one of the features we're working on for the admins is having basically a script that's scanning those sites and telling us when they're adding new books too. That way we don't have to go constantly check it ourselves. There are a lot of admin features on the back end that we really won't get into, but we have a lot of features within there showing us where the incomplete data is, where we're missing images, where we're missing different data like the prices or everything. So it kind of helps us to go in and figure out, what do we need to go back and look at. I will say we have the most complete database of Sanderson books. I've checked a couple of the other ones out there and did a comparisons of our data versus them, and most of their data is actually wrong. They'll have different things to where they'll have a French language book and they say the language is English, or just have completely wrong information about it. So it's kind of funny to go and look at them, and that's again why we actually try to we verify every single bit of data that's on here, and we take our own images. Everything. There's a lot of these big mass market sites. They just basically scraped it from somewhere else and filled in the blanks where they could. On the front page, we do have the ability to see not only in this view, but kind of the what do we call it, the series view, to where you can see the series of Alcatraz, and kind of instead of doing alphabetical, it shows a little bit different view of the actual books. So I can see all the Reckoners books, the Rhythmus. We don't have the option to start on this one by default. I'll probably add in an option to do that by series. You do have a couple options inside your profile. The only real one today, I won't click on it because it'll show my email address. The only real one today is whether you want to start on the book view here or you want to start on the news view. But we're going to be adding a lot more user preferences in there on currency and other data within there. You do have filters you can use today. So these filters up here, I can actually save these filters and use them. So if I want to see all the US hardcovers that I don't own, so right here I'm actually hiding books that I own. So hardcovers that I don't own, if I want to see all the ARCs that I don't own, I'm able to add different filters in there to kind of see the data I want to see.
And these filters have been really, really nice for searching the site. I mean, at the base level, you can just type in the name of the book you're wanting and search for that. But the power that he's built into this thing is incredible. You can also, like he's showing there, search for ISBNs or other info that you know about a book to drill down to it. But like he was showing, you can find hardcovers, you can sort by country, you can say, hey, I only care about the Cosmere books because I'm a Cosmere purist, so don't show me anything else. Or I want to see books that I don't have, which is the view that I use a lot of the time, seeing books that other people have put in so that I know, oh, hey, I need to go get this kind of thing.
And there's still a couple of features we're going to be adding around that. So we're going to be swapping out this Cosmere to be more of the universe. So instead of just Cosmere and non-Cosmere, you'll have Cosmere, you'll have, Cytoverse or any of the other ones in there, so you can really drill down to what specific you want. The other thing we'll be adding is right now we can hide and show books. So like if I go to my hardcover one here, you'll see I'm hiding books that I don't have, but some of these books I technically do have. So like I have one of these, I have a couple of these Legion ones here, but what it's doing is it's hiding. There's multiple different hardcover versions of it, and it's just hiding the one I have and not the other. Well, we're going to be adding an option in to be able to hide everything within a group once I get a book in that group. Because the way I collect itself, I don't need every book. I just want the best copy of each book I can get, whether it's leather bound, numbered edition, or whatever. So for a Legion book, I don't need every different hardcover version of it. I just want one of those. So I want to be able to hide that itself in my filter so it doesn't show up.
We will make that an option because me being me, I do want every version of all the books.
That's why we make everything an option, because everybody collects differently. We like to actually cater to everybody's needs within there. Now in the future, today we have other things in here, so it's not just books. We'll have different things as far as like magazines you can collect. So I have a lot of different magazines within here. We've talked about possibly doing different types of swag, maybe adding it off into its own section. So there's different swag out there you may be wanting to collect, like all the various stickers. So adding that within there. We are starting to move into sets, so you can actually collect the sets of books. And basically, it's more of a back-end feature for us to where we can take different books and actually add them to a set, because the books in the set itself generally are the same books that are on here. You're just going to be marking, I have the set of this book instead of just the single book itself.
And by set there, you're talking about box sets.
Yes,
specifically
box sets,
come with their own little box.
Yes.
And another thing we're working on with this group view is dynamic covers. So right now, when you see a group of a book, it has a specific cover, like the US hardcover of A Memory of Light. And if we filter for UK books, you can see it still has the US cover for 99% of these books. But if you drill down, it only has the UK editions here. And so we're going to work on getting it so that when you filter for UK, the main page will also just show you UK editions.
Yeah, exactly. We do have a data view on this too. I kind of just alluded to it. Let me clear my filters and go back. But we have the ability to swap, instead of seeing the cover images here, if I want to actually just compare all the different books, I can do that. So it'll show you pages and a lot of the information itself. And of course, and even this, where I can mouse over and see those notes that we had on the other page. So this one here has notes at the bottom there. And because of that, if I mouse over on this, I actually see that. So very handy to basically just see all the different types of books for that group itself in one view with the actual information. The one thing I need to add back in is the printing. Since we changed how printings were doing, apparently I missed this page.
I would like to emphasize this site is still very much a work in progress. Jimmy has been doing a ton of the coding. I've been doing a ton of the data entry. And as I go through, I'm like, hey, I'd like to tweak this to be more accurate, or I'd like to change this so that it's easier to see this and that. And he'll go and do that. And then usually basically I'm the beta tester to say, hey, that broke this over here, that over there, but it looks awesome over here. And so if you find bugs like this, report them to us. We have a channel dedicated to the development of this over in our Discord. That's the best place to contact us right now. Like we said, eventually there will be a messaging system, but for now, that's the best place to go and talk to us about that.
We do have an editor in here too, so we can actually edit images directly on the site, pull them out, so very handy for the admins themselves to actually see it and use.
One thing we are not doing with the data gathering right now is books that are not by Brandon in the Wheel of Time. So we have made the conscious decision to, at least for now, limit ourselves with the Wheel of Time to books that Brandon wrote. So The Gathering Storm, Towers of Midnight, and A Memory of Light, the first 11 books in the series plus New Spring, we have not put in there because Brandon did not have anything to do with those books. However, books that Brandon is just kind of involved with or related to, like the Mistborn adventure game books that don't necessarily have his fiction in them, we are putting in because they have his name on it and they are part of the Sanderson universe of books.
Yeah.
That's kind of been our approach to data collection. If a lot of people feel like we're missing Wheel of Time info, especially with the show coming out and it becoming popular, we might consider changing that policy. But for now, that is how we've been going about it.
Yeah. I'll add in that we do add information to the notes that when it contains no Sanderson writing, that, hey, this is a book, but Sanderson didn't write anything in it.
And a couple of the magazines have, like, Brandon as the editor of the magazine.
Yes.
Instead of having his own stories or essays in there, for example. Yes, exactly. There's an example where Brandon is credited as the editor and has a bio in the magazine, but did not write anything for that edition.
Oh, one of the other handy little features here I forgot to actually showcase was when multiple books actually have the same ISBN, we kind of give an alert for that just so you can be on the lookout. Because it's very handy, because if you search by ISBN, it's going to kind of bring up them all. And to verify that, you know, this is the right one. Of course, this is a magazine, and it's kind of the why. But you'll have other books, too, that different copies of the books themselves actually have the same ISBN.
Like, if you go to A Memory of Light, the book club edition has the same ISBN as the regular hardcover, and so you'll see that alert on both pages.
Yeah, and that's also handy to note. So when I actually do searching by ISBN, so if I clicked on this one here and brought it up, you'll see I'll actually have both copies in here because I'm searching by ISBN. The other thing I would like to point out is we do have the donation link up here. This donation link itself does give Mark here the ability to buy more books. So again, the more books we buy, the more data this database has, because again, we want to verify all that information is correct before we really kind of start adding it all to the database. So we like to have those books in hand. So the donation link, definitely click on it. Buy Mark a coffee and a book.
Additionally, if you want to send me copies of books to put in the database, if you have, say, a 7th printing of a random mass market paperback that I don't have in the database and you've replaced it with a hardcover and you don't need your paperback anymore, you can send that to me and I will get it put in the database. So that is our overview for today of collectingsanderson.com. I am hoping to do another interview with Jimmy at some point in the future to talk about his collection, because he's a new collector and he's got some perspectives that I obviously don't have, having been in the field for quite a while, and he's already amassed a really cool collection. So I will be talking to him again at some point about that. For today, that is everything. The site is live. You can go and sign up and start cataloging your library, making your wish list, adding your alerts, reading the wiki, editing the wiki, doing all of that stuff today. Like we said, if you have feedback about the site, missing data, whatever, you can also join the Discord and chat with us over there. If you've enjoyed the video, remember to go ahead and leave me a like and subscribe to my channel so you don't miss future videos. If you have any questions directly related to this video, you can always leave a comment below, and I will try to get back to you on that as soon as I can. That is everything for this week. I wanted to go ahead and get this video up before I headed off to JordanCon so that I could reference it when talking to people at JordanCon. That's why there's been like 3 or 4 videos in the past week. I will be at JordanCon and having another video up that is pre-recorded in a couple of days, so I will see y'all in that video, and until then, happy collecting.